A socialite woman, Emily Taylor, is speaking to her boss, informing her that she won't be able to come in tomorrow. Tomorrow, her spouse will be returning home from jail after a 4-year sentence for insider trading. The following morning, Emily and her mother-in-law head to the prison to collect her husband, Martin Taylor. She has longed for him greatly and is very happy to see him again. The following day, Emily is behind the wheel of her car, but she crashes into a wall, attempting to end her own life. Shortly after she awakens in a hospital, a psychiatrist approaches her, introducing himself as Dr. Jonathan Banks. Initially, Dr. Banks wants her to remain at the hospital for a few more days, but Emily declines. Martin has just been released from prison. She needs to work since Martin doesn't have a job yet. She persuades Dr. Banks that it was a one-off error, and she assures him that she will obtain her prescribed antidepressant and visit him regularly. One day at the office, Emily feels sick and ends up vomiting in the restroom. Her manager notices these and comes to see how she is doing. She locates her antidepressant and informs her that she has taken it previously, and it also makes her feel nauseous. Emily then goes to Dr. Banks' office for the therapy session she committed to. Emily mentions that she used to sketch images of her friends and those around her when she was still in school, and that is the arrived in New York to enroll in classes for graphic design. She was employed at the bar to fund a class, and that was where she encountered Martin. He swept her off her feet, and soon they were wed. When she was still residing in Greenwich, Connecticut, Martin ended up in prison. She felt very stressed and started therapy sessions with Dr. Victoria Siebert. Seeking a better medication for Emily, Dr. Banks consults with Dr. Siebert at a medical conference. According to her, Dr. Siebert met Emily after she had lost everything and went to the city to seek employment. Then she never saw her again. Dr. Banks mentions that Emily also has issues with sleep and nausea due to the side effects of the antidepressants, and Dr. Siebert recommends trying a new medication named Abilixa. Before they separate, Dr. Siebert notes that Emily experienced a miscarriage after Martin was incarcerated. This astonishes Dr. Banks since Emily hasn't brought it up to him. At their house, Emily and Martin are preparing for a gathering hosted by their longtime friends. At the gathering, they encounter them and say hello to one another. But then Emily went to the bar because she wasn't feeling at ease. A friend named Julia approaches her and sees her in tears. She recommends medication named Effexor, stating that it truly benefits her. After requesting Julia to bring Martin, Emily feels stressed and rushes outside. Before long, Martin arrives and they step out from the party, Emily concealed against his chest. Emily is at the subway station when she gets lost once more. She moves nearer and nearer to the railway, but fortunately a police officer taps her on the shoulder, bringing her awareness back. Dr. Banks is with his spouse, Deirdre, when unexpectedly Emily approaches, catching them off guard. Initially, he plans to have her wait as she wishes to join Deirdre for her job interview. But after learning about Emily's efforts, he apologizes to his wife instead. Dr. Banks advises Emily to concentrate on what lies ahead, her future with Martin. Emily believes that Martin is genuinely working to restore their lives, and she truly values his efforts. She even went to the store to make their relationship thrilling. Emily also informs him that her friend Julia tried a different medication and it benefits her. Upon hearing this, Dr. Banks consents to adjust her medication and writes her a prescription for Abilixa, the same medication Dr. Siebert suggested. While Dr. Banks is having lunch with a few of his colleagues, they mention that they're receiving an offer to become a consultant for a new anti-anxiety medication, Deletrex. Dr. Banks views this as a chance to provide his family with an improved life and agrees to the proposal. At home, he shares the positive news with his wife, but Deirdre isn't too pleased about it since it means reduced time for the family. But he persuades her that the money will truly assist them. Then his stepson arrives requesting to be tucked into bed, interrupting their discussion. At the same time, Emily and Martin's connection is stronger than ever. They're passing their time together, hanging out around town, and it looks like the new medication is working effectively for Emily. One night in the dead of night, Martin wakes up to Emily's sleepwalking while preparing food and arranging the table. In the upcoming therapy session, Martin requests Dr. Banks to adjust Emily's medication as it intensifies her sleepwalking. However, Emily does not concur with this notion. She asserts that this is the sole medication that is effective for her. Before, it felt like she was constantly surrounded by this toxic haze clouding her thoughts, and she doesn't want to experience that anymore. In the end, Dr. Banks isn't able to do much and allows her to remain on Abalexa. At home, Martin announces that they might be relocating to Houston for his job. Emily doesn't like this idea because she wants to return to Greenwich. The following day, Emily arrives at work quite late at 4 p.m. She says that she simply forgot to exit the train because of her mental condition. Fortunately, her supervisor recognizes her circumstances and allows her to take a day off. At the same time, Martin arrives home after seeing his friend, but when she calls for Emily, there is no answer. He discovers a small ship with a note on the chair, but also 3 dishes on their dining table. He then goes to the kitchen where he is chopping up vegetables. Suddenly, Emily faces him and jabs him in the stomach twice. Additionally, when Martin attempts to escape from her, she stabs him once more in the back. He drags himself away from her in an attempt to protect himself, but he bleeds rapidly and then loses consciousness. Emily observes her husband bleed out with an expressionless gaze. She then strolls by his body and heads to bed, as if nothing occurred. The police arrive in the morning, but Martin has already left a while ago. During the detective's questioning of Emily, she appears disturbed and simply states that she was asleep and recalls nothing. Dr. Banks also receives calls from the police station as Emily has been requesting him. The officers believe that Emily is the sole suspect since all the evidence shows that there are no other individuals in the apartment. Dr. Banks mentions that there's a chance Emily was sleeping. It's due to the effects of the medication she's on. The officer warns him to work with them because if Emily is found not guilty, then the responsibility falls on him for providing her the medication. But Dr. Banks doesn't wish to activate her. Dr. Banks goes to see her in the jail, and Emily appears worse than before. She's still in disbelief that she truly ended Martin's life, which makes her avoid any pills now. He contacts Dr. Siebert seeking her advice. He's worried that Emily might be declared guilty, but Dr. Siebert überzeugt ihn, dass sie nicht abrechnen werden, da sie keine Erinnerung daran hat. Dr. Banks then attends a meeting with a private investigator employed by Martin's mother. She also requests him to collaborate with her to set up Emily, but once more he declines, stating he has already shared all he. The following day, Martin's mother goes to see Emily in the prison. She arrives to find out what truly occurred with her son. A mother's heart is shattered. She just reunited with her son, and now she has lost him for good. But Emily just repeats her response that she doesn't recall anything. Emily then requests her to present her statement to the public. So she appears on TV and reads Emily's statement that she composed herself aiming to raise public awareness about the side effects of Abalexa. However, this action concerns Dr. Banks, as this statement suggests that it's his responsibility for having her take the medication. His standing in public is damaged now. This has truly impacted his life, with crowds of press outside his home, invading the privacy of his family. His other patients are also becoming anxious that they'll turn out like Emily and depart from him. The police also requests his present and past patients' records. They continue to ask him questions such as why he didn't admit Emily to the hospital following her initial suicide attempt. Dr. Banks believes Emily won't hurt others since she has no history of violence. But the officer doesn't seem satisfied with his explanation. On the flip side, Deirdre begins to feel anxious about her husband. but he succeeds in persuading her that he will not face charges for the case. The day of the trial is approaching soon. The witnesses consist of the elderly man from the area, the officer at the train station, and of course, Dr. Banks, individuals who are acquainted with Emily's suicide attempts prior to the event. Dr. Banks tells the jury that he thinks Emily wasn't aware, and that implies she wasn't planning to do it. The ultimate choice is that the states concur with not guilty due to insanity or NGRI. So Emily's not going to jail, but she has to remain in the mental hospital until it's determined that she's not going to hurt anyone again. But Emily isn't satisfied with this. She still thinks she's not insane. She attributes it to Ablexa, even to Dr. Banks, who makes her take the medication. She considers opposing the decision, but fortunately they succeed in persuading her to accept it. However, this isn't the conclusion for Dr. Banks. His nearest co-workers even hold him responsible for this situation. One of his co-workers, Jean, even claims he is having a relationship with Emily. Jean connects the event to one of Dr. Banks's former patients, Allison Finn. During his residency period, Allison stated that she and Dr. Banks were in a romantic relationship. Then she ended her life and left a detailed note about him. But naturally, it's all merely her imagination. Exhausted from being repeatedly accused, Dr. Banks tells his wife about the situation and chooses to conduct research to demonstrate his innocence. On the Ablexa site, he discovers studies authored by Dr. Siebert about the sleepwalking side effect. He inquires why she didn't inform him about the sleepwalking, also questioning if Emily experienced the side effect during her consultation. However, Dr. Siebert rejects them all. Still unhappy with the response, Dr. Banks keeps his inquiry going in the parking area where Emily had her initial try. There, he discovers that Emily was wearing her seatbelt when she crashed. Then he visits her office to inquire about Emily and her job. Her supervisor refers to a saying from William Styron regarding poisonous fog bank, the identical words Emily employed to characterize her depression. He also discovers that Emily doesn't have any coworker named Julia, as Emily mentioned that her friend Julia suggested another medication for her. Dr. Banks begins to think that Emily has been pretending to have her condition to set him up and deceive the public. To confirm his doubt, Dr. Banks arrives at the hospital to face Emily. However, Emily appears to have a reason for everything. She can't recall how she created the term poisonous fog bank, but she insists that it's simply how she felt at that time, and Julia is truly her friend from the bar. To worsen his situation, Dr. Banks was just let go from his role as a consultant because of the case. Fortunately, he discovers that a certain company is benefiting from Ablexa's decline and uses it as a clue to dig deeper. At home, he discusses this chance with Deirdre, but she pays no attention to him. For the last several weeks, all he thinks about is this case. He has no time for his family. He essentially neglects them. Deirdre is frustrated and weary of his fixation on it. The following day, Dr. Banks visits Emily once more. In this meeting, he's going to provide Emily sodium amytal, or the truth serum, to demonstrate to the court her innocence. He tells her that she'll experience a feeling of wellness and then gradually become sleepy and drifts off to sleep. As the serum begins to work, Dr. Banks starts with a broad question and then gradually moves to a question regarding Martin. But before he can inquire further, Emily drifts off to sleep. Dr. Banks brings this video to the detective. It appears that Dr. Banks never administered any sodium amytal or any medications. It was simply saline solution. It indicates that Emily pretended to fall asleep and has been dishonest all along. However, the detective believes that it's already too late since the case is finished, and reopening the investigation will only indicate that they have not succeeded. Determined, Dr. Banks requests her colleague, Jean, to assess her. But just like everyone else, he advises him to let go. When Dr. Banks returns to the hospital, he ultimately surrenders and wishes to say his farewell. He sees Dr. Siebert's name is on Emily's visitor list. He goes to talk to her about it, but she informs him that Emily reached out to her directly as she's upset with him regarding the Amital. Once Dr. Banks departs, Dr. Seibert pulls out several pictures of Dr. Banks and Emily in the lobby on the day of her second attempt, along with Emily's revealing photos on a bed. She then contacts someone to bring them to Deirdre. When Dr. Banks arrives home, Deirdre has already revealed the shocking photos. However, after being hit by his wife, he continues to discuss how these pictures support his belief that Emily and Dr. Siebert are setting him up. Weary, Deirdre steps out of the apartment and leaves him by himself. After getting a voicemail from Dr. Siebert, Dr. Banks visits her once more. This time, he deceives her, claiming that Emily has revealed all about their plan. The deception succeeds. Dr. Siebert becomes furious and frightened, instructing him to stay away from them. Believing that he is onto something, he intends to set Emily up against Dr. Siebert as well. He prevents Emily from leaving the hospital and informs her that he is now employed by Dr. Siebert, and they intend to make her forget the reality. To persuade her, he sets up a hidden meeting with Dr. Siebert, where Emily can observe them from her window. So now she truly trusts Dr. Banks' deception that they're collaborating. After that, Emily chooses to work with him and reveals the complete story. Martin provided her the ideal life back then, until unexpectedly, all of them were taken from her. After that, she sank into sadness and encountered Dr. Siebert. For merely a therapy session, their meetings evolved into an affair. Before long, they began collaborating. Dr. Siebert instructed Emily on the side effects of medications, and she educated her on financial derivatives and transactions. By merging the details, they created a grand plan to take revenge on Martin for destroying Emily's ideal life and to reclaim the dream life. She pretended to feel sick at work during both her observed efforts, and naturally, she was aware the night she ended Martin's life. Once she discovers that they plan to keep her in the hospital indefinitely, she proposes a new deal to reveal Dr. Siebert's wrongdoing. He consents to her and allows her to exit the hospital. Emily arrives at Dr. Siebert's office and behaves as if nothing occurred. While discussing their dishonest scheme, Dr. Siebert sees Emily is wearing a recording device. As she attempts to flee, the police are already at her entrance. But small did Emily realize, Dr. Banks merely utilized her for his own advantage. He isn't just going to let Emily be free, he's sending her back to the hospital again. As her designated psychiatrist, Dr. Banks recommends Thorazine and Depakote and explains their undesirable side effects. She is returned to the mental ward for declining the treatment. Ultimately, Dr. Jonathan Banks regains her family and life, while Dr. Victoria Siebert and Emily Taylor endure suffering for the remainder of their lives.